All right, third graders. So what we're doing now is we're looking at pages 190 and 191 in your book. If you haven't already, I want you to know you can tear out all your pages starting with 187. Tear out, that'll be 188, 189, 190, 191, and 192. So if you tear those out, they'll be a little easier to use, and then you can put them side by side like you see I've done here. So what we're doing on this page is we're going to be looking at a story structure. How is this story organized? And we're going to practice filling something like this in with a shorter story. So we're going to work on that a little bit together, because later on this week, you're going to be filling in another story map about the Garden of Abdul Ghazazi. So we're going to do a little practice with it first. So we know that we're going to be thinking about the characters, the setting, the plot, which is the problem or conflict, and then some steps about what happens, and then how is it resolved, what happens at the end. Pretty basic. So we're going to start by reading about a dog. Here we go. I'd like you to please read it with me. You're welcome to read with me on the screen or have the paper in front of you. All right. Rescuing Dolly. One cold morning, as Keisha walked her dog, Vista, she noticed fresh tracks in the snow. A minute later, a small spotted dog appeared by the river. With no tag or collar, it clearly was lost. It stared hopefully at Keisha and shivered in the cold. Then Vista barked, and the dog ran off. It's much too cold for a dog to stay outside for long, Keisha thought. I've got to do something, but Vista will keep scaring it away. So Keisha headed for home. She told her mother about the lost dog, and together they returned to the river to find it. Keisha was almost ready to give up, but at last she spotted the dog. Keisha called to it, but it jumped onto a rock. Then Keisha knelt down. The little dog leapt into her arms and began licking her face. Weeks later, the little dog's owner still could not be found. So that is how Dolly, the little dog, came to be a part of Keisha's family. Aww. So I think that you can definitely fill in most of this story structure from what we've just read. So you can have this next to you if you need to pause or whatever you need to do. Get this in front of you. This is page 191. We're going to kind of refer back and forth. Characters, you're not going to have any problem with the characters. We know there's actually more than one character, but if we focus on the title and we focus on who really the main character is, we can see kind of who are the main characters. Of course, there's Vista, there's Mom, but as far as the main characters go, what's the story really about? In the setting, well, it may not say exactly where they are, but we know what season it is. So remember, the setting is not just the where, it's the when as well. So think about describing when and where they are. We know the problem. Look at the title alone, Rescuing Dolly. What's the problem of this story? So I want you to fill that in. So again, I'm not going to fill it in. This is your job. We're just talking about how we would organize this and think about it. Now, for the what happens part, we really do want to go back. And we want to think about beginning and middle, because the end is going to kind of be its own section. So we can see we have 4 topics and then another 2. That's how they want us to break this up. So I might go into this and think, okay, well, let's see. Maybe I want to put a few ideas together and maybe say, okay, this area, that's like the first thing. Okay, Keisha's walking her dog and they notice another dog. Now, we can see also what happens is that Vista barks and that causes the little dog to run off. So then Keisha heads back home, but they come back. Mom and her come back to look for the dog. And at the end, so there's like our first 4. somewhere in here. Maybe it's even down to here, actually. It might even be down to there. And then the ending would be these sections. So that's kind of how I might think. If I know that I need certain details, I might look back at the story and decide, how do I want to break that up? What do I want? And of course, we're not going to copy things straight from this because not enough room. We got to shrink our ideas down to some basic sentences and do your best to fit them in. I know it's not always easy. All right? So we're going to practice that. That way, later this week, when you're asked to do the same thing with the Garden of Abdul Ghazazi, it won't be so hard. And on this one, you'll notice that they don't have lines, so you get to decide when you talk about what happens. Remember, you're not going to say every tiny detail. You're just going to give the big ideas. And if you think about what we just did on this, maybe you have 4 or 5 big ideas, and then a couple at the end. All right, you guys rock. Good luck.